when he had all disease and loss of wealth and all of this. But we find again the Prophet Muhammad, and I'll give you some examples in a minute, combine that. You look at a great prophet like Moses, a person who's very courageous and outspoken, and physically fit too, by the way. Just that Egyptian, who was persecuting the Israelites, Habadu alam wa'a, just he hit him, not intending to kill him, and the Egyptian died. I wish he was facing the later Pharaoh of today to get rid of it once and for all. Anyway, you look at a great prophet like the blessed Jesus, peace be upon him. You find again in his character simplicity, humbleness, sitting down, and that's why he was criticized by the religious establishment, sitting to eat with the sinners and the poor people. Even in the history of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, you'll find from a variety of narratives, that indeed he combined all of that. That's a couple of examples. A man comes to him, and that was, by the way, after the Prophet was powerful, was already in Medina, was a head of state. A head of state. And the man comes with cruelty and roughness and hold the Prophet from his, close to his neck, shake him and he says, give me money. This is not the money of your father or family or whatever your tribe. Imagine a head of the state being treated like that. If he was in Egypt, the secret police would have put him down in no time at all. In no time. And the Prophet smiles in his face. People were just about to jump on that hill. The Prophet smiles in his face and ordered that he would be given from the public treasury his needs. Another person came to him, and again he demanded or wanted to have some funds from the public treasury, because the Prophet, of course, is supervisor over all. So the Prophet gave that to him, said, okay, give him. And then he tells the man, is it okay now? Are you satisfied? He said, no, you didn't do any good. لا أحسنت ولا أجملت. You didn't do any good. So people again started almost like jumping on him. This very ungrateful person, rude. And the Prophet said, no, stop him. Stop him. And then he asked him to come to his house, privately. And he said, okay, you need more? Here it is. But can I ask you to do something? He said, what's that? Of course, the man was very happy. The Prophet told him, did I do good to you now? Did I treat you good? He said, oh, you're the best man. And the man's heart melted because of this kind of. He said, okay, can you come tomorrow in front of my companion and say the same thing? The man came. And the Prophet said, this man claimed yesterday that he was not treated right. So I want you to hear him. So the man started praising the Prophet. The Prophet didn't do that, by the way, because he wanted people to hear praises. That's the least he worried about. But you know how he explained why he demanded that this man come and tell that in public? He said, because I don't want any of my companions to have hard feeling toward that friend. To hear it from us, so that they wouldn't have negative. The Prophet never cared about praises or was intimidated by attacks on his person. So this is just one of the possible examples in terms of the character of the prophets, in terms of their patience, their perseverance. Many of the prophets also faced very critical situations, life and death type of situations. And what distinguishes a prophet from others really is their absolute and utter confidence in Allah, the Creator. That they were fearless of any human being, and they knew that if Allah has given them a duty, a command to do things, to convey the message, they are willing to offer their life for that. And they totally trusting in Allah. Again, I don't want to go in details in comparisons, but I find many interesting things in the Hebrew scriptures also that speak about prophets who face these odds with determination, with courage. Remember when Jesus was about to be stoned by the mobs, and he didn't waver. You know, the same thing happened with the prophet. I'll give you just one example. In the night when he was supposed to be assassinated by the Baltajis of his time, the thugs. Baltagi became now an anglicized word. Now we know what Baltagi means after we've been watching the news in the last couple of weeks. The thugs, the conscienceless thugs, heartless thugs, who can go to any extent. The conspiracy to assassinate him failed. And we read in history, like in Ishaq and others, that the Prophet and his companion, Abu Bakr, slept without being noticed. And they went, instead of north towards Medina, they went south, which was a very good strategy to evade the attacker. They expected people to be searching for them to kill them. So he went to a little cave there in the south. It's known as the cave of Thawr. And then the pursuers, some of you might have seen, any of you have seen by show of hands, the message, Anthony Quinn? Any by show of hands? Okay. Remember when the attackers, the pursuers, came to the mouth, up to the mouth of the cave where they were hiding. And Abu Bakr, his companion, there were only two in the cave, whispers in the ear of the Prophet. He says, if any of those people just look under his feet, he will see us. That's a very critical situation. And that the mouth of the cave is open. You know what the Prophet said? Oh, no, nothing like that. You tell him, as the Quran quotes him, لا تحزن إن الله معنا. Don't you worry or grieve. Allah is with us. Allah is with us. This is an example of many of this prophetic character of people who have absolute confidence in Allah, even though it might go against material calculation. There are more, but let me try to move on. Now, we mentioned earlier, for example, that one of the prophetic characteristics that we have seen, particularly in some prophets like Jesus, peace be upon him, like we said, simplicity, humbleness, sitting and eating. That's exactly what the prophet used to do, to the point that he was resented by the nobility of Quraysh, his tribe, and they tell him, you keep, dealing with those downtrodden, poor people. Some people think that the best and all other people are garbage. You telling with this poor. Why don't you get some special session for us, the big guys, the big shots, so that you can listen to you? And the Quran came to tell him very clearly, and he abided by that. وَاصْبِرْ نَفْسَكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَدَاةِ وَالْعَشِيِّ يُرِيدُونَ وَجْهَهُ إلى آخر الآية. Say, no, O Muhammad, be patient and persevere with those who are seeking the pleasure of their Lord, the poorest of the poor, the most downtrodden in society. No, they are the best, because they are seeking sincerely the pleasure of their Creator. وَلَا تَعْدُ عَيْنَاكَ عَنْهُمْ. Don't your eye get diverted from them for those who did arrogantly deviated or rejected the truth. So that's, again, a prophetic character, not trying to have your mala, you're surrounding yourself with people who are also plunderers of wealth and this and that. No, the poorest of the poor, if indeed they are seeking the pleasure of God, are the ones that you should pay your attention to. Among the attitudes of the prophets in the past, and the Quran quotes them, لا أسألكم عليه أجرا, that the Prophet goes to his people to advise them. They start making all kinds of accusations. We find it sometimes continuing through centuries against innocent people. They say he's a poet, he's a sorcerer, he's crazy, he's this, he's that, you know, all of this kind of thing. But most often, as the Quran